All right, if you're tuning in, we are trying to build out an RPG by first ripping off other games, or at least seeing what other games do. And then what we'll do is we'll, at the end of the day, take all the ideas that we like, compile them together, and try and make our Frankenstein-style RPG. Today we're ripping off 4th edition. So, what does 4th edition do that is awesome? Well, first thing I love about it, and a lot of people didn't like 4th edition. I enjoyed it. It was definitely more tactical, more dudes on a map style tactical. But the first thing it did I really liked was minions. So minions was the idea that you take a monster, identical stat block to its normal monster. So you have the orc, this is the normal orc, and then the orc minion is you take that orc stat block, duplicate it, but it has 1 hit point. What's nice about that is that you can then feel epic. You could have, these monsters, you could have like 10 orcs. They're all super dangerous still. They could still hurt you and hit you for a ton, but you now as a player can feel like you're just wading through them. Because at some point in time, you should wade through stuff. You should be able to just be slaying things like crazy. And so that is a really cool mechanic to give that sort of epic feel. Now I've had some people that have taken it and they've, instead of doing 1 hit point, which was really low, they did like 5 hit points to make it a little bit, you had to do at least something to the damage, or 10 hit points or those kind of things. But the idea of taking the exact same stat block monster and making just a hit point difference that was very low so that you could churn through these, really cool concept. The other thing I really liked about this system was the organization of it. So meaning that they had these class themes that you were either martial, primal, arcane, divine, or psychic, and they kind of pooled different classes together, and they actually came out with different books based on those. So you had the martial prowess, the primal powers, the arcane powers, etc. And so martial was like your fighter, your rogue, your ranger, something else, your warlord. Arcane was your wizard, obviously. Sorcerer probably was in there. Primal was your druid and your barbarian. And so I liked these class themes that they kind of bashed them together. I also liked the roles. The roles in this system where you were either a striker, defender, leader, controller, and I liked the idea that it gave you knew there were multiple classes in each one of these role types, and it helped players kind of build a party, Now, once again, this was a very tactical system, so it was important to build a party, but it was kind of cool to say, all right, let's take, let's have one of each, and then you could look at the different classes and choose a class. So I like that. I thought that was a cool idea. Now, it would be even cooler if you could say, I want to be a fighter, but in this system, the fighter was a defender by nature. But it'd be cool if you could say, I want to be a fighter, but I want to be a controlling fighter. I want to be a fighter, I want to be a striking fighter. So I would rather have that these aren't locked in. So that's good. It's good that I know that. That's what I want. Monster types. Monster types in this game, they had a bunch of cool ones. They had brutes, strikers, bosses, lurkers, tanks. In essence, every monster had a type to it, so that when you were actually going to build out your encounters, you can mix and match these types, and it was going to give a certain feel. Strikers were high damage, low hit points. Brutes were high hit points, decent damage. Tanks were low damage, but very hard, tough. So it was kind of nice that you could, and then you would throw minions in there as well, and now you have this really dynamic combat where you're wading through certain things, but then there's a big baddie that's in your way, and you got to get past him because there's strikers in the distance, and they're hitting you guys, etc. So it added to the tactical concept of an encounter, which was really nice. The final thing is that I'm not going to put out a bunch of examples of these, but in essence, the monster characteristics, there was a ton of passive and active monster characteristics that were amazing in this game, that made it very thematic and gave every monster a very unique feel. There's a ton of videos on these already. I'm not going to put them out there, but it was things like damage auras, or just stuff that just made them feel really dynamic. And once again, that's why I felt that the encounters in this system were really fun. They were really fun to play and to run. Okay, that's my 4E. I'm not going to go into a ton of those details, but I like mostly the idea of the categorization of the characters and the monsters, and then the minions are awesome. So we're going to switch gears dramatically, going from something that was super tactical to the next system I'm going to talk about is actually Fate Core, the Fate system. All right, so see you then.